In this video, it's asking for the formula for the sequence, and this is going to be different to what it asked before when it was asking for the following terms. Now we would have to work out what would happen if we wanted to work out the 100th term or the 200th term without the formula given. So if we consider now what happens with each of the terms, then to go from 7 to 13 you're adding 6. But to go from 13 to 19 you're also adding 6. And to go from 90 to 25 you add 6 again and again for the next one. So we know that we're adding 6 every time, but we couldn't really use this idea at the moment to work out what the 100th term would be. We would have to do all of this 100 times to work out what this would be. But if I said to you that it was just the 6 times table, so the first one is 6, the second one is 12, the next one's 18, and so on, then you could tell me what the 100th term would be, because it's just going to be 100 times 6. But how is the sequence different to the 6 times table? Well, to go from 6 to 7, you're just adding 1. And to go from 12 to 13, again, you're just adding 1. To go from 18 to 19, you're adding 1. So, if we could work out a formula for the 6 times table, then the formula plus 1 would be this sequence. And the formula that gives you the 6 times table would be 6n, because the 100th term would be replacing n with 100, which would be 600. To find the third term, you replace n with 3, which would be 3 times 6, which is 18. So this 6 times table is just 6n. So therefore, the formula for this sequence would be 6n plus 1. So if we wanted to work out the 100th term, it would be 601. In this case, we could do the same thing. We'd work out what the difference is. So this is going to be adding 5, adding 5, adding 5, and so on. So we know it's going to start with 5n. But here's the thing, what do we do after that? This plus or minus number can be more easily worked out by actually going backwards from this 2. So if we went backwards by subtracting 5, then this would give you negative 3. And this is the number that you put here. Now how else could we have found this? Just by looking at the 5 times table, which is 5 and 10 and 15, and saying what do we need to do to that 5 times table to get our sequence? We have to subtract 3. And if we looked at the one before, which was 0, that actually tells you what the number is straight away. So that's why it works. So this sequence is 5n minus 3. In the next example, and the final example, to find a formula for this sequence, we do the same thing. But in this case, because it goes down, the difference is negative. So we have to subtract 3 every time. Now we could use the same idea, we just put this number in front of n. It's the minus 3 times table. But what do we put at the end here? We go back one step by adding 3 to 28, which would be 31. So we would add 31, and this is our formula. But how would we know this is correct? We could look at the 4th term, for example. So if we put a 4 into this, we'd have negative 3 times 4, and then add 31. So this would be negative 12 plus 31, which is 19. And that is the 4th term of our sequence.